Number 50. The Rio Grande forms a permanent border with Mexico. The Rio Grande constantly shifts its course, creating legal nightmares where the border doesn't match the current river. Property owners have found themselves in different countries after floods shifted the river. Some land that was once Mexico is now Texas, and vice versa. The river has changed course so dramatically that entire neighborhoods have switched countries without anyone physically moving. The border follows the deepest channel of the river, which moves after every major flood. Schools teach the Rio Grande as a stable boundary when it's actually one of the most fluid and contested borders on Earth. International law requires constant surveying to determine where the border actually lies at any given time. Number 49. The Louisiana Purchase was a peaceful land deal. Schools portray the Louisiana Purchase as a simple real estate transaction, but France didn't actually control most of the territory it sold. Native American nations occupied and governed the land. Spain contested parts of the purchase, and many areas required decades of military conquest to actually claim. The U.S. bought land that belonged to dozens of sovereign nations who were never consulted. The purchase was the beginning of violent expansion, not a peaceful acquisition. Calling it a purchase erases the military campaigns and broken treaties required to actually take control. The Louisiana Purchase wasn't a land deal. It was a claim to land that still needed to be conquered. Number 48. The Dust Bowl was caused by drought. The Dust Bowl was created by human stupidity, not natural drought. Farmers plowed up millions of acres of native prairie grass that held the soil together. When drought came, the exposed topsoil simply blew away in massive dust storms. The natural grassland could have survived the drought, but industrial farming destroyed the ecosystem. Schools blame nature when humans caused the catastrophe through ignorant agricultural practices. The Dust Bowl was entirely preventable and directly caused by ignoring ecological warnings about plowing up grasslands. Native Americans had warned that destroying prairie grass would lead to disaster. Number 47. American rivers flow naturally. Nearly every major American river is dammed, diverted, and controlled by human engineering. The Colorado River rarely reaches the ocean anymore because dams and irrigation drain it completely. The Columbia River is essentially a series of reservoirs connected by short river sections. Natural river flow has been eliminated on most major waterways. Schools show rivers on maps as if they're natural features, when they're actually massive plumbing systems controlled by government agencies. Free-flowing rivers are the exception, not the rule. The natural American river system was fundamentally altered in the 20th century. Number 46. The Great Plains were empty before settlement. The Great Plains supported millions of bison and thousands of Native Americans living in complex societies. The plains weren't empty. They were deliberately emptied through bison extermination campaigns designed to destroy native food sources. The U.S. Army killed millions of bison specifically to starve tribes into submission. Schools present the plains as vacant land waiting for settlers, when it was actually ethnically cleansed to make room for white farmers. The empty plains were full of life before systematic destruction. The emptiness that settlers found was manufactured through genocide. Number 45. Mount Rushmore was carved on U.S. land. Mount Rushmore was carved into the Black Hills, which were explicitly promised to the Lakota people in the 1868 Treaty of Fort Laramie. The U.S. violated the treaty when gold was discovered, then carved presidential faces into the Lakota's sacred mountain. The Supreme Court ruled in 1980 that the Black Hills were illegally taken and awarded compensation, which the Lakota refused because they want the land back. Schools teach Rushmore as a patriotic monument when it's actually a symbol of treaty violation carved into stolen sacred land. The monument represents broken promises, not American values. Number 44. The Transcontinental Railroad united America. The railroad was built using Chinese laborers who faced discrimination, dangerous conditions, and lower pay than white workers. Thousands of Chinese workers died building the railroad, but they were excluded from the celebration photo at Promontory Summit. The railroad also accelerated Native American displacement and bison extermination. Schools celebrate the railroad as progress while ignoring the exploitation and destruction it required. The railroad united white America while devastating everyone else. Chinese workers blasted through mountains with explosives in conditions that killed hundreds. Number 43. California's Central Valley is naturally fertile. The Central Valley was largely semi-arid grassland before massive water diversions made agriculture possible. Rivers from the Sierra Nevada were diverted, aquifers were depleted, and the valley was artificially transformed into farmland. The valley is sinking because groundwater extraction is so extreme that the land is collapsing in some areas. California's agricultural abundance isn't natural. It's unsustainable engineering that's destroying the valley's geology. Schools present California agriculture as natural bounty when it's actually environmental catastrophe in slow motion. Number 42. Death Valley is America's driest place. Parts of Hawaii's rain shadow receive less rainfall than Death Valley. The driest recorded spot in the US is actually on the Big Island of Hawaii, which receives less than 9 inches of rain annually in some locations. Death Valley gets the reputation because it's dramatically barren, but drier places exist. Schools fixate on Death Valley while ignoring that Hawaii contains both the wettest and driest spots in America. Number 41. The Great Salt Lake is drying up naturally. The lake's dramatic shrinkage is caused by human water diversion, not natural cycles. Agriculture and urban use divert rivers feeding the lake. The lake has lost 2/3 of its water since pioneer settlement. When the lake dries up completely, which current trends suggest will happen, toxic dust storms will affect millions. Schools blame natural fluctuation when human water consumption is destroying the lake. Number 40. Silicon Valley is in a valley. Silicon Valley is a marketing term with no precise boundaries describing an economic region, not a geographic valley. The actual geographic feature is the Santa Clara Valley, but Silicon Valley describes the tech industry cluster. Schools use Silicon Valley as if it's a real place when it's actually a brand applied to whatever area wants to claim tech credibility. Number 39. The Florida Keys are a natural island chain. The Keys' current configuration is partly artificial. The overseas highway connects islands with bridges and filled-in sections. Some islands were created by dredging projects. Schools present the Keys as natural paradise when they're actually a highway construction project through former reef. Number 38. Yellowstone's geysers are predictable. Only a handful of Yellowstone's 500 geysers are predictable. Old Faithful isn't even that faithful anymore. Its intervals have lengthened over time. Most geysers are completely irregular, and earthquake activity affects geyser behavior unpredictably. Schools fixate on Old Faithful while ignoring that Yellowstone's thermal features are chaotic and constantly changing. Number 37. The Statue of Liberty welcomes immigrants. The statue was a gift from France celebrating American independence and abolition, not immigration. The Emma Lazarus poem, "Give Me Your Tired, Your Poor," was added later and wasn't part of the statue's original meaning. The immigration symbolism was retrofitted onto the statue years after construction. Schools retrofit immigrant meaning onto a statue that originally had nothing to do with welcoming newcomers. Number 36. American national parks preserve wilderness. National parks displaced Native Americans who had lived in and managed these landscapes for thousands of years. Yellowstone, Yosemite, and Glacier all expelled native residents to create wilderness. The parks preserve a fantasy of untouched nature that never existed. Schools teach parks as preserved wilderness when they're actually landscapes ethnically cleansed of indigenous inhabitants. Number 35. The Mississippi River is one river. The Mississippi is a drainage system with thousands of tributaries. The main stem designation is arbitrary. The Missouri River is actually longer and carries more water at the confluence. By logical standards, The river should be called the Missouri from Montana to the Gulf. The name continues as Mississippi for historical reasons, not geographic logic. Number 34. Route 66, connected coast to coast. Route 66 ran from Chicago to Los Angeles, not coast to coast. The highway didn't reach either the Atlantic or Pacific Oceans. Route 66 became romanticized as America's highway, despite being neither the longest nor most significant route. Schools created mythology around Route 66 that exceeds its actual geographic importance. Number 33. The Great Basin is a desert. The Great Basin is a hydrographic region, not necessarily a desert. The basin includes mountains, forests, wetlands, and multiple ecosystems. Some areas receive significant precipitation. The basin designation means water doesn't drain to the ocean, not that it's desert. Schools conflate hydrographic basins with deserts, creating geographic confusion. Number 32. America's breadbasket feeds the world. The Midwest produces massive amounts of corn and soybeans, but most goes to animal feed and ethanol, not human food. The feeding the world narrative is propaganda from agricultural corporations. Much of Midwest production feeds livestock or gets converted to fuel. Schools teach agricultural mythology that obscures what crops actually become. Number 31. Ellis Island was the main immigration entry point. Ellis Island processed European immigrants, but most Asian immigrants entered through Angel Island in San Francisco. Mexican immigrants never went through Ellis Island. Black immigrants from the Caribbean entered through different ports. Schools present Ellis Island as the immigrant experience when it was one entry point among many, and only for certain groups. Number 30. The Alamo Defenders were heroes fighting for freedom. The Alamo Defenders were fighting to preserve slavery in Texas. Mexico had abolished slavery, and American settlers in Texas wanted to keep enslaving people. The Texas Revolution was substantially about maintaining slavery against Mexican abolition. Schools teach the Alamo as a freedom story when it was actually a pro-slavery rebellion. Number 29. America's deserts are natural. The Sonoran and Chihuahuan deserts expanded dramatically due to overgrazing by cattle. Historical accounts describe areas as grassland that are now desert. Livestock destroyed vegetation and caused desertification. Schools present current desert boundaries as natural when human activity expanded them. Number 28. The Great Lakes are natural. While the basins are natural, the current Great Lakes system is heavily engineered. Canals, locks, and water level controls have modified the lakes dramatically. The Chicago River was reversed to flow away from Lake Michigan. Schools ignore the engineering that makes the lakes function as they do today. Number 27. The Oregon Trail was one trail. The Oregon Trail was actually a network of routes that changed based on season, weather, and trail conditions. Multiple variants existed, and travelers chose different paths. Schools present a simplified single trail when westward migration followed multiple shifting routes. Number 26. The Pentagon is in Washington, D.C. The Pentagon is in Arlington, Virginia, not Washington, D.C. The building sits across the Potomac River from the Capitol. Schools conflate the Washington metropolitan area with the district itself. Number 25. The West was won through homesteading. Most Western land was acquired by railroads, corporations, and land speculators, not individual homesteaders. The Homestead Act gave away some land, but railroads received massive land grants that dwarfed homesteader claims. Schools teach romantic homesteader mythology while ignoring corporate land ownership. Number 24. The Mason-Dixon line is straight. The line has multiple segments with different orientations and includes curved sections following geographic features. Schools present the line as simple when it's geometrically complex, with multiple segments surveyed using different methods. Number 23. Lake Tahoe straddles California and Nevada equally. California owns roughly 2/3 of the lake's surface area. The state line runs diagonally through the lake at an angle. Schools rarely clarify which state owns what percentage of shared water bodies. Number 22. The Hoover Dam is in Nevada. The dam sits on the Nevada-Arizona border, and the dam structure spans both states. Schools assign it to Nevada, despite geography saying it belongs equally to both states. Number 21. The Rockies are one mountain range. The Rocky Mountains are multiple distinct ranges with different geology and formation times. The Canadian Rockies differ significantly from the Colorado Rockies. Schools use Rockies as shorthand when it encompasses dozens of separate ranges. Number 20. The Chesapeake Bay is getting cleaner. The bay's water quality has improved slightly in some metrics, but continues declining in others. Dead zones persist, and oyster populations remain collapsed. Schools teach environmental success stories that overstate progress. Number 19. Key West is the southernmost point in the continental U.S. The southernmost point marker is a tourist attraction, not the actual southernmost point. The real point is on private property at Fort Zachary Taylor State Park. Schools prefer memorable falsehoods to precise geography. Number 18. The US-Canada border is the longest undefended border. The Kazakhstan-Russia border is longer at 4,254 miles. Additionally, the US-Canada border has extensive surveillance despite lacking continuous fencing. Schools repeat this claim without fact-checking. Number 17. Tornadoes only happen in Tornado Alley. Tornadoes occur in every state. Florida and the Southeast actually have more tornado days than Oklahoma. Schools fixate on the Great Plains while ignoring nationwide tornado risk. Number 16. The U.S. has 5 time zones. The U.S. has 9 time zones, including territories: Eastern, Central, Mountain, Pacific, Alaska, Hawaii Aleutian, Atlantic, Samoa, and Chamorro. Schools only teach continental zones, erasing territories. Number 15. The Everglades is a swamp. The Everglades is a slow-moving river, not a swamp. Water flows from Lake Okeechobee south to Florida Bay. Schools misclassify the ecosystem. Number 14. Manhattan was bought for $24. The purchase was based on mistranslation and misunderstanding. The Lenape didn't believe in private land ownership. Schools teach a simple purchase story when it was cultural misunderstanding. Number 13. The Colorado River reaches the ocean. The Colorado rarely reaches the Gulf of California anymore. Dams and diversions drain it completely. Schools show it flowing to the ocean when it ends in the desert. Number 12. America spans from sea to shining sea. The U.S. extends far beyond 2 seas, touching 4 oceans and spanning multiple hemispheres. Schools teach a continental-only narrative that erases territories. Number 11. The geographic center of the U.S. is in Kansas. The center calculation changes depending on which states you include. Schools present one calculation as truth when it's one of several answers. Number 10. State borders follow natural geography. Most state borders are straight lines drawn by politicians who never visited the territory. Schools present borders as logical when they're arbitrary political decisions. Number 9. The United States bought Alaska from Russia in 1867. Russia never controlled most of Alaska. Native Alaskans occupied and governed the land. Schools ignore that indigenous people were never consulted about being sold. Number 8. New York City is the capital of New York. Albany is New York's capital, not New York City. This confuses people because the city and state share names. Schools create confusion by not emphasizing this distinction. Number 7. Hawaii has 8 islands. Hawaii has 137 islands. Only 8 are considered main islands with significant populations. Schools erase most of the archipelago by teaching 8 islands. Number 6. The Appalachian Mountains run north-south. The Appalachians actually run northeast-southwest from Newfoundland to Alabama at an angle. Schools simplify the orientation, affecting understanding of weather patterns. Number 5. The Great Plains are flat. The Great Plains contain massive elevation changes. The Black Hills rising over 7,000 feet, the Sand Hills covering 20,000 square miles, and dramatic river valleys. Schools call the plains flat, ignoring incredible geological diversity. Number 4. Mount Everest is the tallest mountain. Mauna Kea in Hawaii measures over 33,000 feet from ocean floor to summit, dwarfing Everest's 29,032 feet. Everest has the highest elevation above sea level, but isn't the tallest mountain. Number 3. Compass needles point to the North Pole. Compasses point to magnetic north, not true north. Magnetic north is currently in the Canadian Arctic and moves constantly, drifting toward Siberia at up to 40 miles per year. Number 2. The Continental Divide runs along the Rocky Mountains. The divide twists in unexpected ways, not following the Rockies consistently. In Montana, it splits into branches, and in Wyoming, it loops back on itself. Number 1. The United States has 50 states. 4 states are officially commonwealths, not states: Kentucky, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Puerto Rico is a Commonwealth territory with more residents than 21 states. Schools teach 50 states, ignoring territories and Commonwealth designations that don't fit neat categories. Which geography lie shocked you the most? Drop a comment and subscribe for more truths they didn't teach you.